So 2013's almost over, time to know the best and worst. I'm going to be announcing best mirrorless, best pro DSLR, best lens, most overrated, ugliest, stupidest, blah blah blah. Stay tuned. Okay, so it seemed like every couple of days there was a new product coming out on the market. 2013 was truly dizzying. Maybe I just kept more track of it than I have in the past, but it seemed like there was more coming out all the time. I've just come up with categories that I think deserve prizes or awards, not necessarily a traditional list. I'm going to actually start with what I finished on last year, which is Best Professional DSLR. Drum roll. Bum, ting! I'm sticking with the Canon 1DX. Canon and Nikon didn't release anything new. There were other offerings out there in the market, but for a pro level, full size, full spec, full speed DSLR, I don't think there's anything out there to rival the 1DX, and I now own one. You know, the D4 and the 1DX are both fantastic, but in terms of every spec just about, the 1DX has the edge, and it's just a phenomenal camera to shoot with. I have not looked back since having gotten that one. Next up, I think the most divisive camera or product that's been released this year has to be the DF. Whether you love it or hate it, whether you're a fanboy or not interested in Nikon at all, it really seems to have polarized people, which, you know, caused a lot of interest and controversy and buzz online, a lot of haters, a lot of lovers. I bought one, so you know what side of the camp I'm on, but I can totally see why some people hate it. The price tag, no videos, some limited specs, and some people just don't like the design, so what are you gonna do? Next up, the best download video series has to go to ting, Intimate Portraiture. Haven't you seen that yet? 4.5-hour download series that little old me made with 5 different intimate portrait, full nude photo shoots, taking you along different body types, different locations, different lighting challenges, all different gear. All 4.5 hours in full HD to download and go through in your own leisure. Hope you love it. That was a major project for me in the second half of this year, and everyone who's bought it has, you know, I've only had fantastic feedback from it. Little plug there. Most useful accessory for working photographers. Now, I only just got one, but I'm actually going to give this to a tablet. Not just necessarily Apple stuff. There's so many Android ones out there now that are so reasonable in price and varying in size from, you know, the size of a big phone through to quite enormous. But they can be so useful. You can tether with them depending on your camera and what other hardware you have available. Even if your camera doesn't support wireless tethering, there's loads of different products out on the market now which will connect your camera to the Wi-Fi network from third-party manufacturers that then will let you tether to your monitor. The other thing, and the reason that I use mine quite a bit since I've got it, by the way, I got the iPad mini, it literally fits into the back pocket of my jeans, and it's just fantastic for taking to meetings, to give a pitch, to show images, to show concepts and that kind of thing. I literally today had a pitch meeting where I took it along and had a presentation made up in PowerPoint, crossed over into Apple format, flicking through slides, video automatically played, and it's just such a slick and nice interface instead of handing someone a piece of paper. So I think that's a really cool one for photographers. Next up is Best Gadget. Now, there's been so many out there, but this is things that are definitely not have-to-have things, although what I'm giving it to for some people would be incredibly useful for their business. I'm giving it to the DJI Phantom. Now, I have one, the quadcopter. They're so much fun. To get aerial photography, they offer so many opportunities. Yes, before everyone jumps in about there are different regulations in different countries, we know it, you've mentioned it every time. You do need to be careful if you're using it for commercial use, how you're going to go about that. But they're so useful, and they've just released a version 2 that's got a built-in camera and stuff. Just make sure you take the time to get to know how to use it. Way too many stories out there of people flying them over water or too high and losing them because they didn't follow the instruction setups. Next up, the best video series, I think, has to go to Educating Tina. Tina and I had so much fun making that series. If you haven't seen it, 12-part series where I take Tina from working out what camera to buy, going through all the different basics of photography and getting different accessories and tripods and doing long exposure and working out what aperture and shutter speed is. All of this stuff shot in Sydney, Hong Kong, London, and Germany as we traveled around this year doing workshops and that kind of thing. Really, really fun. I think a standout has to be the theme songs that we sang ourselves for each of the intros. Really fun stuff, and season 2 of that is planned for 2014, so stay tuned. Most disturbing video put out by me, I think has to go to, I don't even know why I'm telling you this, because then people are gonna watch it and it's not really something I want to watch. But anyway, is the role reversal live video shoot. If you didn't see that, we put out a series of videos this year that were live, as in I walked over, pressed record on the video camera, and we just let it roll, let you see everything that happened in the little shoot that we'd set up, warts and all. In this one, Tina shot it and I was the model. I squeezed into one of her onesies. I don't think either of us have psychologically recovered. The onesie definitely hasn't recovered. You might want to check that one out. Let's get back into the tech though. Most underrated camera for the year. Now last year this went to a Pentax. This year I'm giving it to a Pentax, the K50. The K50, Pentax cameras just offer so much bang for your buck. Compare that guy to a Canon 7D or a Nikon D7, what is it called? What am I talking about? Canon 7D or the Nikon D7100. Yeah, there we go. I know cameras and stuff. The specs are really similar. The image quality coming off it is right up there. The weather sealing is better and it's about 50% cheaper. So if you're not committed to a system, seriously give that one a thought. You're getting a lot for your money when you buy into the Pentax system. There are some trade-offs though, like a lack of a huge range of lenses and accessories. Next up, I'm going to talk about something a little bit controversial here, and that is most overrated product of the year. Now, surely, you know, the DF and so many things Apple have brought out could be nominees for this category. I'm gonna give this to, and I know this is gonna cause some flame, the Sigma 35mm f1.4 Prime. Now, before I discuss why, let me also announce that the best lens of the year, I'm giving to the Sigma 35mm 1.4. Why? Well, why the best? So many people love it. It does offer great value compared to Canon and Nikon. It is a great lens, it is great value. So many people are getting their gear out and shooting, which is all that I really care about for people in their development of photography. And for that reason, and the enjoyment it's giving people, I think I have to give it best lens. Why most overrated is, when there's all this positive energy out there about a product, people can just get so carried away about it being perfect and cheap and wonderful and amazing and a gift from the heavens. It's not all of that. It is a very nice lens, but it does have aberrations. I pointed some out. So many people at the time said, oh, that's not really true. I've used this and it's just fantastic and tack sharp. But then recreating the tests I did, they found the same issues as well. So wide open, especially on green objects, you get some unusual fringing, and it's just not as sharp as a 24-70 side-by-side at 35mm. I've done the tests. If you haven't, actually go and do them. But whilst I think it's overrated, I still think it's phenomenal and it deserves the top spot for the year. Next up, best bang for buck product. Now there's so many out there. You know, I use a lot of gear ranging from cheap accessories through to high-end. The 1DX is probably the most expensive piece of kit in my bag at the moment. And they all serve their purposes, but everyone loves a bargain. Now this one, okay, so first of all, this camera has been really kicking some goals lately. They were kind of a tier 2 in my book manufacturer, and they've really upped the ante. This one is going to, ting, the Tamron 70-200 with VC. It came out this year. They had the non-VC one before. When I did my four-way comparison, it was so much cheaper and it was pretty good, but comparing it to the Sigma, Nikon and Canon, it was obviously behind. The new one, the build quality, I would say it's 90-95% of the Canon and Nikon now, but the optics are right up there and the VC on that thing is superb, and we're talking 50% or less than the equivalent Canon and Nikons. Such a great bang for buck lens, and I'm not saying that it's even just considering the price and considering it's Tamron and considering it's not Canon or Nikon, it's pretty good. I mean, it's great, full stop. Consider it over the Canon or Nikon, even if you have the money. It's just that good. It's what I own for my Canon. I didn't buy the Canon version. Next up, And we're getting towards the end of the list here, so I hope you're swelling with anticipation. The stupid and ugliest camera of the year. Last year, this went to the Hasselblad Luna, and I think you would agree that oh, Jesus. Sorry, it still frightens me. I think you would agree that was a deserving winner for 2012. This year's winner, keeping in mind we're talking stupidest and ugliest, is the Luna's little sister, the Stella. Oh, what a stupid camera. Seriously, that's a Sony RX100, a $600 camera with a little wooden grip bolted on there that to me looks tacky as hell for $2,500. Yeah, that's right. But if you buy the Hasselblad H5D 40 for $23,000 without a lens, they'll throw that ugly little bad boy in the mix for free. So if you're doing really high-end stuff and you want a stupid gaudy pocket camera that's got a grip on it so it's no longer pocketable, you can get that one for free. So, you know, keep that in mind, seriously. As I said with the Luna, the Stella I think will actually sell. I think there is a market for it. I think it probably isn't a terrible thing for the brand in a way. I still think it's stupid and ugly and unrivaled in those stakes for 2013. Next, I want to talk about the best mirrorless of the year. Now, there's been a huge move towards mirrorless, arguably not as rapid as a lot of manufacturers were expecting, I have to say, but still, big move nonetheless. And there's been some fantastic entries out there, ranging from interchangeable lens to fixed lenses. First off, I'm going to split this into two categories. One for non-interchangeable lens, I think has to go to the Fuji X100S. If I were doing a best revision camera for the year, that would be it as well. The X100, modern classic, beautiful camera, awesome, discreet, all those things you want from a camera like that, but it had a few little bugs, primarily among which was the autofocus. The new camera fixes that. I know there's new firmware for the X100 as well, but the X100S is so much better. If I owned the X100, I probably still would upgrade to the S anyway. There's just that much of an advantage over it. Okay, on to interchangeable lens mirrorless now. And we can't go past the Sony A7R. Been getting loads of attention lately, but I'm not giving it to them. I do think full frame is a great development. Need to calm down a little though, you know, Leica rangefinder has been a full frame mirrorless digital camera for years and years now. But the A7R, it does look great. It does look really nice. Well, actually, I don't particularly like the styling, but people going on about how much smaller and lighter it is and other options, you have to keep in mind, once you put a full frame lens on it, they're still gonna be huge. So we're talking about a really balanced, mismatched kind of combo there. And still, given that, and given its price point, and given the ergonomics and all of that kind of thing, I'm gonna give the best to the Olympus OMD EM1. Now, I've tested that a lot on show floors, and I've also used the EM5 quite a bit, but unfortunately, I've never gotten to actually test this one hands-on in the studio because Olympus Australia won't loan it to me. So, boo Olympus. And kind of lucky that they didn't, because if they had, I probably would have fallen in love with it and bought it. As it was, they said no, and a couple of weeks later the DF was announced and I got that instead, so thank you for that. But high frame rate, great image quality, it is really small. The lenses that you use with it are relatively smaller because it's 4/3. I mean, I've seen side-to-side comparisons where on show floors where they were letting people compare their 5D and D800 and Hasselblad and whatever camera they wanted in a head-to-head shootout, and it stood up really damn well for such a small sensor camera. I was really impressed. So that gets my vote. Special award this year, which I'm going to call the SB910 Award. Now, this award is in memory of the Nikon flash system. SB900 overheated all the time, but they'd never acknowledged that it was a problem at all. They just over time released the 910, which was exactly the same flash, but it had solved the problem. And it pissed off a lot of people along the way because they kept going in for service and being told, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's meant to do that. And then they acknowledged the problem by fixing it, but not doing a recall like any other industry would when you've got a dodgy product. So with that in mind, we're looking for products that have had some sneaky sleight of hand, that have kind of given the middle finger to their customers to, you know, look after the company's bottom line. And this year, our winner goes to Nikon again, with the Nikon D610. What a load of horseshit. It's a fantastic camera, don't get me wrong, but the D600 major oil and dust spot issues on it that they just wouldn't acknowledge was an existing problem. In some countries, people got lucky and after 1 or 2 returns, their camera got replaced. In others, they're on a never-ending cycle, or they're not getting any service, or they're being told it's not an issue, or now the period has elapsed so they can't just get free sensor cleans or get it fixed up. Major nonsense. Obviously there was a problem wrong with the shutter mechanism there. They wouldn't acknowledge it. They didn't just recall it and change the mechanisms and send people their cameras back. They waited a minuscule amount of time and then released the 610, which is some minor tweaks, but paperwork stuff, to then change out the shutter unit and draw a line in the sensor. People knew, okay, now they're safe to buy again. You have put off so many people. I've had so many viewers saying they'll never buy Nikon again. So many people generally saying I'll never buy first generation of a new product again because in case there's problems with it. People from people who are just getting their first full frame camera and were so excited and let down with the D600, through to people who are so high in the industry, I can't even tell you, who are really disappointed with Nikon and the way they've handled this one. Well done, you've held your prize, 910 and the 610. Well done, well done. Second last award for the year is Lowlight. Lowlight Award, which camera is smashing it in terms of low light? Now this may surprise people, but I'm actually giving this to the DF. It needs more testing, but they say it's got the same processor and engine and sensor, that all the things that are important for how it handles ISO are the same as the D4. But looking at the high ISO test shots I've taken in the month or so that I've had with it, it performs better than my Canon 1DX, and I think better than the D4 test shots that I took earlier in the year when I owned that camera. I'd be interested to find out what's changed. Obviously technology, firmware, a lot of that stuff can be upgraded and improved with those updates, but a lot of people, myself included, expected the image quality to be the same as the D4 essentially. There's some hardware tech spec differences, but what the sensor can actually put out should have been the same, but I think it's performing better, and considering the D4 and the 1DX were kind of the low light kings already, I think that puts the DF on top of the chart. What can I say? Final award for the year. Nervous, excited? Yeah? If you want to go for a little nervous wee, you go right ahead, just pause, okay? Welcome back. This one doesn't really have a category. This is just my Woo Award for doing great things and starting a movement that I hope is going to continue. And I want to recognize a product that I think is doing fantastic things. And I know it's not something that 99.9% of the audience here will want to buy, okay? But it's the Zeiss Otis 55mm 1.4 lens. It's an effing behemoth. It's enormous, it's expensive, but and again, I haven't had hands-on time with this, but I have been geeking out at the test reviews and talking to people who have used it and seeing the results of it from 100% crops. And this is like nothing I've ever seen in the 35mm lens world. And that includes Leica, yes. I'm not the biggest Leica fanboy, I'm not the most versed Leica person out there either, but I have studied the results, I have shot with Leica, and I am familiar with what's out there. So let's say this guy, the big guy, why I think it's so important, when you've got cameras like the D800 coming out with 36 megapixel and others on the way, that really does start to test the limit of your glass. When Nikon's not even recommending certain Nikon lenses to pair with that kind of a camera because they can't resolve enough detail, that's quite a telling sign, and sensor resolution is going to go up. Arguably, the most finely detailed 35mm film out there was roughly equivalent to 20 to 25 megapixel. So 36, we've really gone past that. And already the lenses that are being made today are, generally speaking, better resolving and better quality than they were 10 years ago. So why I think the Otis is so important. This is a lens, and I know this sounds like a marketing thing. I have absolutely no relationship with Sony. I don't even know anyone there. But it has genuinely been designed without compromise. It's $4,000 for a 1.4 lens that's manual focus and doesn't have a Leica badge on it. That's big money no matter who's making it, yeah? And it is enormous. That's what I mean by no compromise. They are using some of the rarest glass on earth just to get the most astounding image quality possible out of this lens. So the Leica Summicron f2 50mm lens, that's $7,500, so almost double, and that is arguably one of the sharpest, contrastiest, best 50mm lenses out there. A lot of people would claim that. There's other Leica ones out there that are certainly in the running though. So that's almost double the price. It's an f2 instead of an f1.4, so it's half as fast in terms of the amount of light it lets in, and it's double the price. But it's probably like 10% of the size. So why Leica lenses cost that much is, it's like if you're building a supercar, to get it to go from 0 to 100 in 3.1 seconds instead of 3.2 seconds, that last little bit costs a fortune. It's not a linear relationship, it just goes up like crazy. So Leica lenses are designed and made by hand without tolerance. So there's no plus or minus when they're shipping out the door. They have to be perfect to specification. And they are arguably, especially in their more premium ones, more premium Leica, they're designed with only one sacrifice: size. They need to be small and compact, and the rangefinder system is ideal for that. But this guy hasn't compromised on size either. It's manual focus, it's using the best glass, it's using the best build quality, and they've just said, F it, make it the size of a 24-70, whatever, just make it astonishing. And make it $4,000, whatever, just make it astonishing. And the results I've seen just look out of this world. I don't know that I would actually buy one, but hell, I really want to shoot with one. So well done, Zeiss. Again, I would really love to test it out, but I don't even know who to call it, you guys. You're difficult to get in touch with. So that's my list for the year. I would love to hear your suggestions, and I would love, if you haven't already, to please subscribe. Genuinely, in 2014, we have some huge things on the drawing board. Some brand new series, some series 2 of previous series, some really big projects, lots of travel. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go over to mattgranger.com/workshops. That's where all of my meetups, travel, workshops, and studio days and all of that kind of thing are all listed there. So if you want to see if I'm coming to your country, or if there's an opportunity for us to meet up or do a workshop or whatever, that's the place to go and check it out. And it's almost the end of the year, so I hope over this holiday period, if you've got some time off work, you've got some time to go out, that you get your gear out and actually shoot. And if you do like my new shirt and phone and everything, you can check that out at the new merch store, mattgranger.com/merch. But that's it. That's my list for the year. 2014 is looking huge. All that stuff I mentioned, plus Photo Keen is going to be on again, so I'll be over there full week on the floor showing you all the great stuff. I'll probably be going to CP Plus in Tokyo as well, and maybe 1 or 2 other little trade shows, as well as trips here, there, and everywhere. Again, check the workshops page. Leave me your thoughts. See you soon. Happy New Year. Don't worry, there's more videos before New Year, but you know what I'm... Goodbye.